Hi and welcome. Today I will talk a little bit about why change can be so hard and what to do about it. And in the last part I'm going to introduce the Immunity to Change framework by Lahey and Keagan, which I find to be a very useful way to structure something that can be as fluffy as mindsets and change. So most of us know the challenge of having to make changes, profound changes in our behavior. And most of the people I work with are leaders. Well, I'm an executive coach, so all the people I work with are either leaders or talents, and many of them have the capacity of creating a lot of changes through willpower. You know, they can just put their mind to it and they can actually make substantial changes. But everybody experiences that there are certain areas or certain kind of challenges where mere willpower is not enough. You know, a good example is the kind of annual feedback that you get, feedback that you get in the annual review year after year from your peers or your boss. Or for some people it's personal changes such as living a healthier life, stop eating candy, actually attending the gym after signing up. You know, it varies from person to person what the challenges are, those challenges which are so hard to change. When we are addressing these type of behavior, we have to dig a little deeper. A lot of the work I do, we are doing what I call to create a new app within yourself. So imagine that your personality, your behavior, your web of logic, that is the operating mode if you're a computer. And then you have new apps, so you can learn new things, new behaviors, new competencies, which are pretty easy to integrate in the existing operating system. But when we meet those types of problems and challenges which I was talking about, we have to dig a little deeper. We actually have to change the operating system of the computer, your operating system of your brain, your mental model. So another way to describe this is, imagine you are going through life as a car. You're driving through life and you have one foot on the speeder and another one on the brake at the same time. Not very efficient, right? And that is how most people are going through life, because human beings are not logic and consistent. We are paradoxical. We are doing a lot of contradictory things, and we have a lot of contradiction behavior, and a lot of people like the idea of being logic and consistent, but you know, I would say that I haven't met anybody who is, when you really start to get to know people, and there could be some blind angles if you believe that you're always consistent and you're always logic. Or maybe there's an area in your life where you're not consistent or you're not logic. Well, let's look into what we can actually do about it. So first, you set a goal. You decide what it is that you want to change. And it has to be something that is substantially something worthwhile working on. You know, you don't change something that is already good. You know, it has to be something you want to be better at. Okay, and this has to be what we call an adaptive challenge. It cannot be a technical challenge. An adaptive challenge is something with an infinite goal, which is about being better at something. And a technical skill, a technical challenge, is a challenge where you have a defined problem. There's some kind of expert who can lead you through the process and knows exactly what steps you have to take. But in these adaptive change, such as becoming better at listening at other people, or being better at moderating behavior, having more self-awareness, those kind of behaviors. There's not a finite goal. There's not one size fits all. There's not one expert who can tell you that you have to go through exactly these steps and that you get to the goal. And then you know what the goal is going to look like. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like when you're through. That is an adaptive goal. So that is step 1. You set the goal. In step 2, you start writing down the behaviors that you have which are against your goal. So it could be things that you do or things that you don't do. And most people, when they start doing this brainstorm, you can actually make quite a list of those kind of behaviors. Then in column 3, we have something that we call the worry box. I'll just draw it. And that worry box contains your worries or fears for not doing the behaviors in column 2. Okay, so let's imagine that you are trying to live a healthy life, and you decide that you want to stop eating candy because you eat a lot of candy, and you like to sign up for the gym and actually attend the gym 2 to 3 times a week. Okay, so the goal is healthy life. And what you do is you eat candy and you don't go to the gym. So then what I would put in the worry box could be, I know a lot of people who don't go to the gym because they're busy doing other things which are more important, or they find to be more important, such as a CEO who gives and gives and gives to everybody around her. And she's such a wonderful leader. And the thing that fills her up is going to the gym. But almost any time she needs to go to the gym, she's in a meeting or she's doing something else in the business that she perceives to be more important. So one day I asked her, for how long can you go on? She said, maybe 2 more months. So, to some extent, going to the gym could be important to her as well. Okay. Eating candy, the other behavior, it could be that you eat candy because it's what fills you up. Like, imagine you come back from work and you've tucked the kids to bed and it's late, and you cleaned the kitchen and you answered your emails and it's late. And then while you're cleaning the kitchen, in the drawer you find a bag of candy. Though you decided you have to stop candy, it's still there. And you say, okay, I'm just going to eat a little piece and I'll have another one. And those thoughts that might go through you in this moment is, finally there's something for me. I need this candy, otherwise I'm going to fall down. I'm going to faint. I need this extra energy. Maybe candy is energy to you. Maybe is candy what has gotten you through hard times. Maybe is, once you had to study for exam and eating candy was what made it happen for you. Or it could be the same thing with coffee. Okay, so there are perfectly good reasons why you have these behaviors. And the worries which are in the worry box could be behaviors such as, I'm going to faint if I don't eat it. There's going to be something in it for me as well. Finally, I can get something. The hidden commit. So, and not going to the gym, the worry could be like, if I leave this meeting, I'm going to miss out on something really important. I'm not going to do my job well enough. It's fair enough. So those worries we change into hidden commitments. So that could be a commitment to staying on my feet, for example. staying alive on my feet. Not passing out. It can be a kind of responsibility to the business. I'm not going to leave the meeting and going to the gym because this is important to the business. And what is important doing this? I'm not doing 100% right, because what you have to do here is you have to write, I am committed to staying on my feet. I am committed to taking responsibility over the business. These are commitments, hidden commitments. And once you listed these out, you will actually see what it is that we call the immunity to change. That is the immune system of your mind. Hopefully, it will bring about some kind of epiphany, some kind of, wow, okay, it makes sense. I want to live a healthy life, but I'm actually just trying to stay on my feet and take responsibility for the business. And these goals seems to be contradictory. Okay, this is a model that has been created by Robert Keagan and Keagan Lahey, and they have backed this model with 25 years of research. So this is quite substantial. And my experience from using it both in one-to-one coaching sessions and in group sessions is also really worthwhile. So that's also why I'm taking the time to actually making this video and sharing it. This is deep work. As I said, it's almost like changing your operating system. So it can take a little time once you get to this point for everything to fall into place, because what it's challenging is your big assumption. Now we get to column 3. Big assumption is your assumption about what the world is like. This is how you see the world. So that's why it's so challenging, and that's why it can take a little time. Some people, for them it pops in their eyes and they're like, wow, right away. And some people need a little time to digest it, because this is not just like a new perspective. This is actually challenging what is your truth about the world. So in Keagan and Lahey's book, they have a great cartoon image from this author of the Far Side Galaxy, and it has a picture of 2 dinosaurs going for a walk. Looks a bit romantic, and they see a meteor. What we know is that the meteor is the asteroid is hitting planet Earth, but one of them look at the sky and say, oh, what a beautiful star. So, we sometimes have perceptions or some assumptions about what the world is like, things we have to do or not have to do, otherwise the world's gonna fall apart. Actually, I worked with a CEO and we did this model, and he used to be running a power plant, these type of power plants that can explode and destroy a whole country. He wanted to create some new methods in his way of working and be a little innovative, because he kind of reached his bandwidth by now, but he needed to do more. So he needed to be innovative in his way of working. And when we did this framework, we found out that he's only comfortable about using tested tools and methods, which makes perfectly sense, because he's been trained to that if he experiments, if he's being too innovative, if he doesn't use very tested methods and tools, the whole country is going to break. The whole country is going to blow up. So that's the sensation he has inside, and though it doesn't seem logical, it's his truth. So that makes perfectly sense. And then he could see the immune system which was holding his mental model in place, and which was preventing him from taking on new innovative ways of working. Okay, so then the 4th step is to formulate what your big assumption or assumptions are about the world. And this is your truth. This is how you see the world. Once that is done, you have to go out and test it. Don't listen to what I say or what anybody else say if it doesn't make sense to you when you test it in real life. You have to go and test if those assumptions are true or not. And what I normally do is I help my clients design safe experiments where we, in safe environments, can do little experiments that won't have a big cost. It could be with people we have a lot of confidence with, or who trust us already, or we can test things without risk too much, and then test it over and over again, and then it might gonna bring about that change you were looking for. At least I've seen that happen a couple of times. Well, more than a couple of times. So I hope this video was inspirational for you. I hope that it gives you courage and inspiration to actually start trying to make those changes that you really want to do. And I also hope that it gives you some knowledge about our complex mental model and why it's not always so easy to make that change, what you can do about it. And please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down to let me know what you think about this video. I'm actually doing these videos to share what I know and what I can do so that other people can make those changes in the world that they need to do. Okay, and you're welcome to write me a comment or put yourself in contact with me if there's something you want to discuss, you have more questions.